Hello, and welcome to this presentation of California's housing crisis and the access for millennials. I am Rebecca Valenzuela, a student at California State University, Chico. In 2015, California's median home price exceeded $400,000, while nationally it sunk to around $200,000. According to Zillow, the median listing price for a home in San Diego County is currently $650,000, with home values averaging $619,887. A household would have to collectively be making more than $100,000 a year to be able to afford a home in San Diego. While the notion of buying a home makes sense, as you would be paying towards something you can call your own versus wasting money on rent, the fact of the matter is you still would have to come up with the upfront costs of buying a home. If you were to pay a 20% down payment on a $650,000 home, that would roughly come out to $130,000. Even if you were to plan to apply with an FHA loan at 3% down, that would still be $19,500, and you would have to pay for more insurance and higher monthly payments for your mortgage. And those numbers do not include the closing costs and whether the bank decides the home value is less than what it is listed at, but the seller refuses to budge on the price, making you come out of pocket for that extra cost, which would be just over $30,000 compared to the average home value in San Diego County. This is a difficult feat to acquire, as according to Philip Molnar with the San Diego Union Tribune, in November of 2019, the average rent price in San Diego County was $1,852 a month. More often than not, when someone complains about the pricing of homes and rents on social media, the response from homeowners are something along the lines of, if you don't like it or can't afford it, then leave. And many have. According to Derek Thompson with The Atlantic, California saw a net loss of 40,000 people in 2019, causing stress and increased anxiety on nearby states for reasons of cultural shifts and increasing prices on their ends. But people have to know that it isn't easy to just pick up your life and what you own and just relocate. If people don't have the means to save up to buy a home or barely make rent, how would they have the means to move to a different place? Whether they haul their material belongings or not, they would still have to have money for travel expenses, gas, bus, train, plane ticket, hotel stays, food, first and last month's rent for a new place, and to buy new things like a mattress if they had to leave it all behind. Not to mention have a job lined up beforehand, or else they could end up in the same position as before, with struggling to make it each day. Some states like Texas are still at $7.25 an hour for their minimum wage. I had the opportunity to interview another millennial on his experiences when facing the housing crisis. When I asked about what he thought on the influx of Californians relocating to other states in order to afford a home, his response was well put. We can't have a state full of lawyers, doctors, computer scientists, and biochemists. People need to be able to live in the city, support a family, and work at Costco. What is San Diego going to do when in a 100-mile radius, no one who makes even above minimum wage can afford a studio apartment? The woes of Californians are not falling on deaf ears, though, as some possible solutions have been making their way through the policymaking process. For example, Los Angeles homeowners that have been struggling to make ends meet have gone through a different outlet to provide extra income. Granny flats, or formerly known as accessory dwelling units, ADUs. Although this would seem to help solve some part of the crisis by providing more supply of units, some city requirements make it impossible to accomplish this. Of course, this is for people who already own a home and have the square footage to create space for others. Measure B, aka Newland Sierra, which did not pass in the March 2020 election, would have brought more housing. However, there were strong indications towards the plan not being the right fit for San Diego County, as it did not promise to include affordable housing, had no plans to widen the nearby freeways or to provide adequate funding for schools that were already overcrowded, and had no safety routes for if or when there would be an emergency such as a brush fire. Lastly, the new rent control law that came into effect in January of this year may relax some stresses for renters in the state of California. However, the damage that has been done over the last few years for those who lived in complexes that increase the rent 10% every year, like my family unit, the rent control of 5% increase with 2% inflation seems to be a bit late, as now we have to move because even with just a 5% increase, rent is now too high for us. We have to move every 3 years to afford rent, and that affects the ability to save for a home. We are expected to spend $3,100 for first month's rent, deposit, moving truck, turning on and switching over utilities, for an $1,800 a month, 2-bed, 2-bathroom apartment. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation on California's housing crisis and the access for millennials. Feel free to review my sources and follow up with any questions. Have a great day.